We have seen many items follow an insane market trajectory, with those taking the gamble reaping the rewards. Catavisa 2014 items, cobblestone packages, M4A4 howls, Operation Skins, Krakow gold autographs, gloves. Many of these items are now sought after by collectors, but they shared one thing when their prices were low: skepticism. No one knew where the CS market would go when Catavisa 2014 items were first released. No one knew when Cobblestone would get reintroduced into the active map pool, or if Valve would ever release new collections. No one knew that gloves would go from the laughingstock of CS to one of the most expensive items in the game. It's the sharp change in narrative that can pull prices from such a low point to something of infamy that the people once wrote off now strive to own. While it may be a joke or arrogance to say that mass purchasing the items that people ignore is more profitable than following what the masses are fawning over, you cannot receive profits like this by buying an item that was loved from its inception. That is how you end up with Catavisa 2019 Furia Hollows. Not that I would know anything about that. But that's what makes modern day cases so interesting. These items are what makes this market go round. Everyone knows they are profitable. Some of the best investment choices you can make for years now. Everyone knows it. But 2025 has been unprecedented. Kinda like ptree doing an ad. This video is sponsored by Skinsmonkey, a CS2 trading service where you don't have to worry about the risks that come with cash trading or the sale time of a typical marketplace. All you need to do is sign in through Steam and enter your trade link. With their vast inventory of items, instant trades, and 24/7 chat support, you can obtain the skins that you have been looking for. When depositing balance, they also offer a 30% deposit bonus, but that could be 35% if you use the code ptree or click the link down below. This extra 5% also has unlimited uses. But there is another bonus that this code provides. The more you trade, the higher your cashback will be, up to $5 on your first trade by reaching $100 of value. Skinsmonkey also offers daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways. Even if you have nothing to trade, Skinsmonkey has something to offer for everyone. The link is in the description if you are interested. With the recent downturn in the CS market, there has been a scramble. Should you also sell your items and get out before it gets worse? Will this be a short blip in the market, with prices returning to where they once were in just a couple months? Well, I was looking at my case prices to see which direction I wanted to go. And honestly, after taking a browse at some of these prices, it's like nothing ever happened. After months of the prices just constantly climbing, then the true peak during the case unboxing craze. Is this the price crash? Fracture cases are still 7 times my purchase price, and their potential has only gotten worse as they still exist in the active drop pool. CS20 finally breaking out, and still a 3x since January. Really doesn't matter if it goes down a few cents or not, the returns will be insane regardless. But you may have noticed that these prices are pulled from the Steam market. Third-party sites have seen a larger price change these last few days, and that is likely already the effect of Valve's recent update. To understand why case prices seem so resilient to the recent dump, we have to understand how prices rose so high in such a short period of time, and how Valve tried to remedy this issue in the recent update. Older cases have been profitable for many years now, but I want to look at just the last couple years. With the announcement of CS2 and all of the hype that surrounded it, we saw a massive change in prices. Mid-tier knives going from just a few hundred to thousands. Same can be said with gloves. Skins that have been floating around the same price for years getting boosted like they're an investment item. Stickers that have been forgotten all of a sudden seeing a ton of sales. It was a wild time for anyone who held items, and cases are no exception. The amount of cases opened at this time was enough to fund a small country. But with the release of CS2 not meeting expectations, we also saw a decrease in the amount of cases unboxed. That being said, case prices never really fell that hard. Since many of these cases are rare drops or don't drop at all, their supply was significantly affected from this period of mass unboxing, and the millions of cases still open each month following the dark ages of CS2 was still enough to keep the case prices high. Cases have always had the superpower of surviving any Counter-Strike era, no matter how bad things are. At the end of the day, people will still gamble. And they did. Subtech not working properly, jumping bugs, desync issues, little community server support. It was bad, but bad still means tens of millions of cases opened each month. And this had continued for some time, until the Armory update shook things up a bit. But the significant change to cases came with the renting update November 2024. This was really an update that no one asked for. Counter-Strike has a unique place in the gaming world, as all of the items you can purchase can be sold for real money. It's a superiority complex that we have adopted over other games. Yes, this knife is really nothing compared to the fire-breathing dragon skin that you bought, but all of your money is gone, and it's more like I rented it, assuming I don't make money, which 9 times out of 10, holding a skin for a period of time is profitable. By introducing case renting, where the skins disappear within a week, the main desire to even get involved with skins in the first place has disappeared. I firmly believe that Valve did this for themselves, and by proxy, for us. Video game loot boxes have been a growing conversation in multiple countries as their correlation with real-world gambling is strong, yet there's no age limitations. While Counter-Strike may not lead loot boxes on a world scale, it is an open secret that these items have real-world value, even though Valve have kept themselves safe by not adding any cash-out options on Steam. By adding a renting feature, not only can they claim that the items have no real-world value, they can also claim that the cases aren't purely a loot box, even if no one uses the feature. That being said, look at these graphs. I would like to open the discussion on case renting once again. When the initial price hike was happening around cases at this time, I presented the possibility that case renting has a place in understanding why prices were going so high, while unboxing rates were fairly stable. There is no record for cases rented like there is for cases unboxed. It's a complete gray area in our understanding of case demand. But for someone who plays a few days at a time or it's their first time playing, what's the point in spending hundreds for a loadout? I started to question how involved with the markets your average user is when I was playing a ton of matchmaking and Premiere a few months back. Sometimes people would compliment me on a knife that I was using, not knowing the skins that I was using all game cost more. I've had a few people look at this 5.7 saying they wish they could own one, but I have never had anyone mention the 4x Tyloo Hollow Redline. Even people with thousands of hours in this game can have little to no understanding of skins. I still get DMs from people with thousands of dollars in items where they have no understanding of what an API key is or what CS float is. Then you move down to the casual side of CS. People that play on weekends for fun, that don't follow anything Counter-Strike related on social media. Their world is having fun with friends playing the game that they love. I believe there is a certain type of person that does utilize case renting as an actual renting service. I don't think this is just an unused feature that Valve has shoved in to keep the big bad governments away. Now, is it the main driving force behind the insane price of cases? Of course not. But following the update that allowed cases to be rented, these are the trends that followed. There may be a stronger correlation than we give credit for. And now that brings us to 2025. Unboxing rates have also started increasing, and guess what? It's the middle of winter. Time to hunker down and play some CS. One thing that every CS player learns after they put an ungodly amount of time into this game at some point in their life is that you can never truly leave. Some FPS games don't feel as refined. Some don't provide that competitive itch. Some are too much of a sensory overload. Now that we have concluded our escapade trying new things as CS2 existed in a broken state, it has been over a year now, and even though it isn't perfect, nothing else compares. We all get sucked back in eventually. Alright, this video was about cases. Yes, they're going up, doing the regular case stuff. Rare and discontinued drops are continuing to dwindle in supply, and prices reflect that. Overall, business as usual. The steady return of Counter-Strike as the greatest FPS, and the steady return of cases. The real excitement comes from this last month of gambling chaos. My latest video covered it, so I won't go too deep in. But long story short, Nadeshot in his journey to open a knife started a case unboxing phenomenon that stretched through all sides of gaming. Ever thought you would see Shroud spending thousands on cases in 2025? Markets were getting cleared out. Cases were jumping 10% within a day. It was already insane. But to cap it off, a large collector reached out and gifted $240,000 for some popular streamers to open. Following this news, another collector tried to one-up him and gifted about $300,000 in items to a different streamer, which made the original collector mad, so he gifted another $250,000 to take the title as the biggest charity. It's all very strange. If I told one of my coworkers about this, they would probably call me and everyone involved mentally ill, and I cannot blame them. Regardless, when the dust settled, we ended up at a new all-time high for basically every item in the game, and it looked like generational profit was the only answer. Unfortunately, Valve always have something to say when there's something big in motion. Soon after this massive unboxing spectacle, we received one of the most devastating updates that the skins market has ever seen. You know about the trade hold when you purchase an item. Well, now here's a 7-day reversible trade feature. There is of course an upside. Outside of social engineering, it is impossible to get scammed. If your account gets hijacked or an API key is added to your account, allowing the scammer to cancel and modify your trades, all you have to do is say oopsie and revert the trade when you get access to your account once again. The downside is that transferring your items around has now become a nightmare. That instant cash out from a cash trader doesn't seem so instant anymore. Now all of this is very unfortunate to people like us that use the market. But the true loser is third-party gambling sites who preyed on the impulse spending of their users. With a week-long delay between depositing and receiving balance on the site, it's going to negate rage betting to chase losses. But another byproduct is that it hurts those who do mass unboxings, as there's a limit for 1,000 protected items. It seems quite obvious that Valve is pushing people towards purchasing cases on the Steam market instead of using a third-party service or purchasing on a third-party marketplace where Valve gets no revenue for the sale. But what's that? People were already selling their cases on the Steam market since the volume is high enough that they can dump thousands at a time, and now people who bought cases third party are now forced to use the Steam market as well? More cases will be sold to the Steam market, and from Valve's perspective, that is perfect, as cases sold through Steam have no financial value, once again creating more separation from the idea that cases are considered gambling. The rate in which cases are opened in 2025. The depleting supply through many years removed from the active drop pool. Investors buying thousands at a time, as cases have proven to provide significant profit. And the update that funnels more purchasing through the Steam markets, along with negative effects to other third-party services. There are many factors, but the main takeaway is that cases have kept some degree of stability while other items struggle. The case market is not what it was a few years ago. 4-cent cases do not exist. The more expensive cases are now too expensive for the regular user to open, and the Armory update has kept the future of newly introduced cases in question. But is it all too much? Has gambling in Counter-Strike become such a phenomenon that more action will be taken against their legality, potentially forcing more updates like we have just experienced? These questions do not have a defined answer. What can be acknowledged is that cases have outperformed nearly every item in Counter-Strike over the last 5 years, and if their resilience to this market's adjustment tells us anything, the same could be true about the future.